I'd like to take you through the process of creating these sculptural vases. The first step will be to create a dome base. I'd like to show you guys my pottery studio. There's Bella and Greta. My pottery wheel. Great views out the windows, the cats like that. Some of my pieces. Plaster slab for wet clay. A whole bunch of shipping materials. Some of my pieces that are ready for glaze firing. And some other pieces hanging on the wall. To create a dome or half sphere shape, I'm going to use a slab roller and template instead of the wheel. So I printed out a template from the internet and I'm going to cut it in half for half a sphere, and then I'm printing it on different sizes, so there'll be a smaller one, a little bit larger, and a little bit larger. This is my slab roller. It can roll a slab up to about 30 inches wide. And we have canvas on it to stop the clay from sticking to it. So what I'm going to do, I'm ready to start rolling out the slab. And this is an iterative process to go back and forth, adjusting the clay. So now we've adjusted the unit down to about 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch is what I like to work with on these pieces. So we have a nice slab ready to rock and roll. I brought the slab in, I placed it on a board for ease of mobility. And the board is just, it's covered with plastic, but it is a piece of wallboard that I'm using. So now I'm going to use a template for the half sphere. I'm just going to put this down on the clay. We're going to trace around it with a pin tool. And then we're going to cut it out of the slab. So now we're going to take a piece that we cut out to be for our half sphere and actually turn it into a sphere. So I'm going to stand it up like this, like so, and push the ends together so all the pieces are standing up. And then we're going to fold all of these down so they all meet in the center, all 12 of them. There's 12 sections to the sphere. And don't worry if it's not perfect. We'll be smoothing out the clay to make it even more perfect. So we're getting it all down to the center here. Filling everything up. Getting everything touching. And now I'm going to turn it over and straighten out a couple of pieces. Everything nicely lined up. And if you notice, I've got a little bit of a hole in the top that didn't get filled in, so I'm just going to take a little plug of clay and put it in there. We'll be smoothing all of this down. Just plugging that right in there. And on the inside, I'm going to take my wood tool, a little bit wet, and smooth out the inside. Take those seams and seal them up. And when they come apart a little bit, pull them back together. Oops, and put that plug back. So we're going to, again, take the inside, seal up the seams on the inside. Get the little plug sealed in there. And the inside is pretty well sealed up. No one's ever going to see the inside. And now we'll work on the outside. So on the outside, we're going to seal up these seams quite a bit better, making sure they're tight and not going to separate during drying or kiln firing. So we showed you how to make the half sphere. And now we're going to cut out a bottom for it. I'm going to trace around this sphere. And then we're going to cut it out with our handy dandy carving knife. Kitchen tools are great for using with clay. And there we go. We have a bottom that we are going to be putting on our sphere. All right, now we're going to attach the half sphere to our base. And I've got a small turntable here to make things easier for me. One of those boards showed you earlier. It's just a piece of wallboard. I put tape around the edges of it so that the plaster doesn't come off. Plaster and clay don't work well together in a kiln. So I'm putting a piece of newspaper on top of that just to keep the clay from sticking to the board. And so we're going to put our base on there. I've also got a tool, a scoring tool, and it helps seal edges. So I'm going to go around the bottom of the base, around the edge where we're going to attach the sphere. Score that all the way around here. That'll make a nice solid connection there so that our base will be leak proof. And on our half sphere again, I'm going to also score that, but in the opposite direction so that the scoring of the base will be perpendicular to the scoring of the sphere. Got that? And now I'm going to wet it all around on the bottom here. And then we are going to put this thing down firmly, pressing down. all around. And we're going to take our wood tool again and seal the edge all the way around. There we go. We've sealed it all the way around. Not a perfect circle, but it's not meant to be. So now I'm going to smooth it out over the entire dome here. We're going to just basically shave off the bumps, get things smooth. We have some excess clay that comes off, which is just fine. We'll put that back and reuse it later. And I'm doing the bottom edge first to try to get that nice and clean down there. Nice clean edge. Sometimes it leaves a little bit of a ridge there, but I can take that out later as well. And then we're going to smooth across the top. We're going to try to eliminate the edges of these sections so that it doesn't look like it was made in sections. All right, that's pretty good for our needs at this point. So I'm going to lift it up and take off the sharp edge at the bottom, just using a wet sponge around the edge. I also have my marker. This marks my marker for my pottery, and I put this in the bottom of all of my pots. And it basically does okay. So I put that in there. Again, we're going to smooth out the top a little bit with water. And this is ready for the next bits, which are to add the spouts and do a little bit more smoothing. We're going to cover this up and let it sit for a while we make the spouts and let the clay settle into its new shape.